Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I don't want to say Merry Christmas, but our boy Noel hit that dinger last night, and I was like, we were right in the middle of the show. He hit that upper decker right after we left. I was like, man, the people that are the Spanish broadcasters have gone viral for saying Feliz Navidad. So Merry Christmas. Appreciate all my Indians fans that are on here. It was a struggle because as we went off the air, Aaron Judge and Gio Carlin Stanton hit back-to-back home runs versus our Cy Young potential winning closer. So it was looking pretty meager for the Tribe, but they came all the way back. And again, I super excited about the game tonight. So again, all my Tribe fans, I appreciate you guys sticking it with us. I know that the first pitch is after 8, so thank you to the Indians and the Yankees for being a little bit later because we go at 7 every night, and you guys are going to be able to get our show in before you go into the Indians game. But again, we're going to get into the bye week. The bye week is over. The kids have kind of split up. Some have gone home. Some are staying here. There was, as stupid as this is, and you guys can laugh at me, there was a Lil Wayne concert last night. So again, I think that might keep some guys in town because when there's a big rap concert at the Schottenstein Center, I don't think that hurts our odds of guys not wanting to miss the action because going home is a tough proposition where you have to fly. You have to risk a flight getting canceled. So, again, it's very good when these guys have something to do on their Thursday night. So, again, props to the Schottenstein Center for having Lil Wayne last night. But we're going to get to all that. As always, we're going to take your questions. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. If you guys want to give us an early Christmas present in the spirit of Noel, who hit the incredible dinger last night, please subscribe to our Apple Podcast feed. That is huge for us. Again, even if you guys are strictly video consumers who just love to watch our YouTube channel, again, we get 15, 20,000 views every single video. If you guys enjoy that, it would be a huge help if you subscribe to our audio format on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Trying to grow those platforms. Again, we are lagging way behind our video. So again, that is completely free. It's something that takes you 5 seconds to do. Get on your iPhone, go into Apple Podcasts, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. It is ultra efficient, and it is something that could do more for us than you would ever know. Again, we're trying to grow our deals. We go 7 days a week. It's a big grind, but again, you guys have been absolutely awesome, so I appreciate you guys. With that being said, I'm going to bring in our regular Christmas spirit, our regular Noel, Mr. Nevadabuck. Nevada, I know that you are a diehard Yankees fan, and you saw our boy Christmas spirit Noel hit in a really nice shot up into the rafters. What were your thoughts when you were watching that Indians game? Because again, I love watching the Indians play. I don't call them the Guardians. I call them the Indians. I know that they're the Guardians now, but they're the Indians to me forever. But that was one of the greatest sporting events maybe in Ohio history because, again, when you've got your Cy Young closer coming on the mound and Aaron Judge takes him deep, and then all of a sudden Giancarlo Stanton takes him deep to take the lead, you're just like, oh God, here we go again. We're dead. It's like the Red Right 88 and the whole shebang with the Cleveland sports thing. But they came back, man, and big Christmas hit that dinger, and then Fry won the game. But what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was a great night. I mean, but I have a confession to make. I'm always optimistic that my teams are going to come back. So like last night, even when Stanton hit that, and like I always think my teams are going to come back. I always think, okay, just got to get a guy on base. We got to get a thing, and it's just so when it happened, I was beyond happy, but I wasn't like shocked because I don't know if Ohio fans have some sort of PTSD or some sort of
the answer is yes
complex or something. But like I always think my team's going to come back and win. Like on Saturday night when Ohio State was playing Oregon, I absolutely believe we were going to come down and win. I thought that Will Howard would throw a touchdown pass to J.J. Smith. I didn't think it would come down to a field goal. But I thought we'd win. And so, no, last night was great, but to me, unexpected. And I expect them to come back and win again tonight and make it a series. And, yeah, I've been a lifelong Cleveland, Indians fan, obviously. But, yeah, I got lured over to the Yankees side. I've told the story many times. I've been doing business with the Steinbrenners, and George being such a big Ohio State fan, kind of kindred spirit there. So I do have a soft spot for the Yankees, but man, I'm red uniform, Boog Powell, Indian, Rick Manning, Frank Robinson, to the day I die, Dwayne Kuiper. So yeah, I love the Tribe, and that was a great night for them last night. And did you call it Little Wayne or Lil Wayne? You said it's Lil Wayne. I think you called him. Did you call him Little Wayne? Little Wayne.
Little Wayne, because I went to the same AARP meeting that you did today, the same bingo parlor that you went today. So Little Wayne / WAYNE. So I was out with you. Like I went to, because people don't understand. Like even though people think that you live in Manhattan Beach, like we literally go to the same Golden Corral every day at 4. we go 3:59 p.m. to make sure that we're there early so that we get the first plate of prime rib. And we only have to pay $9.99 because we're 65 years old each. So it's good. So
you laugh at beating the crowd there, Mr. Man. There, you know what I'm saying? When it gets all busy at 5:15 when you want to go there in the middle of the night, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm already done eating. I'm on my Sunday and I'm heading home to watch the Little Wayne concert. You know what I'm saying?
You're done eating and you're ready to bet on some Indian soccer match that ends up like a over 5. I want to do the plus minus 4.5, and they score 3 goals in extra time. So again, that's fine. I totally get it. Again, I saw a female hit an eFist ball and cost me. So again, I totally understand where you're coming from. But all right, Nevada, let's get into the bye week. The bye week is over. The squad is relaxing for the weekend. I thought it was pretty. It was an efficient time. You know, Ryan is really trying to find some more depth with the young guys. So the young guys were scrimmaging more. You know, there were some guys that were held just because they're dinged up a little bit. Your thoughts on bye week prep? Again, I wish we were playing again so that you could wash the sins away of losing, but we are not, sadly. But so these guys have to go and. Again, like from a mental standpoint, I think it's better that these guys are actually, you know, getting beat down a little bit and defeated a little bit because, again, everywhere they go, they aren't the bee's knees anymore because they lost the game. And again, that's not out of my happiness or my pleasure, but I just so sometimes you have to realize like when there's a setback or there's something that is a type of adversity, it's actually beneficial for the squad. So. You know, these guys have been proven that they can lose. You know, again, if you don't take care of the football, you don't win the rushing battle, don't win the special teams, you're going to lose. And we lost. So, but again, did the loss hurt us? No. Because if you went out, you get all your goals. You get to win the national championship. You get to beat Michigan. You get to beat or win the Big Ten. But what are your thoughts on what has gone on during the bye week?
Well, I think it's been interesting. I thought, you know, today, you know, Nick Saban kind of taking shots at Ohio State was awesome. I love stuff like that. If you missed it, he kind of came out and he talked about how he was just so impressed with Oregon offensively and defensively and Ohio State defensively that they're running kind of an antiquated system and or something to that effect. And what I found weird about that was, I mean, Ohio State gave up 32 points on the road and 496 yards. Oregon gave up 31 points at home and 467 yards. And Ohio State's defense is antiquated and Oregon's is so impressive. And I was just like, that's the dumbest comparison that I've ever heard right there. And I don't care how many national championships Nick Saban has won. People are still capable of saying stupid things. And that was stupid. I mean, that's really, really stupid. I mean, anything you want to say about Ohio State's defense, you can say about Oregon's. Oregon didn't sack the quarterback. I mean, I don't think that. I think they got credit for one sack because Will Howard fell down. They never stopped Ohio State. Ohio State offense never got the benefit of a short field. Ohio State drove the ball right down the field on them when they needed to, and at the end of the game. So there was nothing impressive about. I've said I didn't think the Ohio State offense got a pass or defense got a passing grade for Saturday night, but I'm sure Zach not giving a passing grade to Oregon's either. So I thought that was particularly stupid. But I love it when national pundits say stupid stuff like that because no matter what, that stings for the Ohio State. I know Joe fans are going to say, who cares? The fans, they deserve it because they lost, so they deserve to be there. But hey, these are people too, and they have families. And when this stuff kind of goes on there, I just think it's fuel for the fire. And you're right. This was a week where, I mean, there's some guys held out. We don't want to get into injury stuff. We'd held the Quinshawn hand stuff last week when we had it. We had said that there was a player that was, that had an injury, but we weren't going to go into it. That was Quinshawn. He had a surgical procedure. The reason we're talking about it now is because they've announced it now. He had a surgical procedure and shouldn't miss any time. But that was a thing. The broken bone in his hand going into the Oregon game. Did that affect him on the fumble? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those unknowable things, but it is kind of ironic that as the ball ripped out of his hand on a night where he has a broken hand. So then the natural question is, should he have been playing? Was he 100%? I'm not going to second guess any of that. I just think it's something that just happened. But you've got other, obviously, Kaz Merrick, you've got the collarbone, and you've got some other Ohio State players that are nursing some injuries right now. Nothing so severe that we're like going to sound the alarm on, but we're not sure. I mean, there's two or three positions that were manned by younger guys this week. Hopefully those are not big deals. Hopefully there's guys, just stepping in, letting the guy get some rest and coming back. But that's something to keep an eye on. The injury bug is definitely hitting Ohio State a little bit this week, but that's why that's the one good news about having a bye week is that if you've got guys that are, high ankle sprain, twisted thing, bad back, whatever, you can kind of take a little bit of extra time to get. I'm not saying you're going to get 100% better, but it's better than having to play on Saturday. So, these are tough when you lose. You can't wait to kind of get back in there and get back in the wing and start swinging. But now we can sit back. We're going to watch Oregon play Purdue tonight. I've got a bet on Purdue plus 29. Not thinking that they're going to win the game by any stretch of the imagination. But just wondering if Oregon might be a little let down after such an emotional win, short week, flight all the way across the country. So, Michigan playing Illinois tomorrow. That'll be a fun one to keep an eye on. What we got? Who's Texas? Is it Texas, Georgia?
Oh yeah. Vince is like, "Do you want to come?" I was like, "No, I have to podcast. We have to pay the bills."
Yeah. Good. That's smart. That's the right answer. That is always the right answer, right there.
That's the only way. How do you think we can get Golden Corral prime rib otherwise?
Hey, when your kid comes up to
because
when little Kirk comes up,
he's
Daddy,
like,
Daddy, will you come to watch my hockey game? And you're like, no, I can't, son. I've got a podcast. That's the right answer right there.
That's
okay?
right.
The kid.
That's right.
Yeah,
Do you want extra meat at Jersey Mike's, or do you want no meat? You want extra meat because I can get you the lettuce sub for $1. It's a sub roll. A sub roll of
nope.
I can go to Jimmy John's and get you the 1 day old sub roll with 1 day old lettuce and put that on there. It's like no. Daddy, I'd prefer protein so I can be big and strong. So if I give my kid double protein and he gets big and strong, then one day he can punch this keyboard and get on this message board and deal with people that are crazy.
The cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Exactly.
When you gonna play that? I don't know when. I got a podcast now.
We have to go. It's 7:00 on a Friday, and there's Friday Night Football. There's Oregon, Purdue, but we're on here, baby. The Tribe's going against the Yankees. Get a podcast. Come on, man. We can't live bet the Yankees. We'd never do that. I think that
I live bet the Mets this morning, or not? Excuse me, when they went up 3-0. So I think they're up 10.
Did you
right now? So. Yeah, so let's go. I'm a degenerate. I'm a degenerate gambler. So, yeah, I did.
I've told people, when we go out to dinner in Vegas, you bet who's going to get their food first.
I do.
Who's going to get the first plate? Am I getting my steak, or is Kirk getting his? I get I get a bowl of soup. Nevada gets a steak, and he's like, "Oh, I got my steak before you did because I'm whatever." And put it in escrow.
Cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
You're like, put it in escrow right now. Get it on your app and put it in escrow. Make sure you can't renege on my bet.
That's it.
I want my money. So, I think the bye week was really good for these guys. Again, I think that Zen needed to go with the ones.
What do you think about the Saban comment? What do you think about the Saban? Do you think Did am I the only one that thought that was stupid? Or what?
Here's the thing. I think Nick Saban knows who butters his bread. ESPN is his daddy now, so ESPN's paying him. If Urban Meyer is making $2 million a year on Fox to work for 15 days a year, guess what? And again, I love Urban Meyer. I was texting Urban Meyer. It's so funny. Urban Meyer sent me a text at 5 a.m. today, probably thinking I'd be asleep. But Nevadabuck and the people on Buckeye Scoop and the partners know that I don't go to bed until about 7 a.m. So I texted him back at 5:02, and he's like, "Hey, I've been." I sent him a really, an interesting question because again, you have to understand when a guy like Urban Meyer has lost 2 games early in season. In 2008 with the Florida Gators, they lost to Ole Miss at home, and then also in 2014 they lost to Virginia Tech. I mean, the Buckeyes did. Everyone remembers that game. I just want to know, how did you frame it, rally the squad, get the guys to get to competitive excellence, get to being great? And he's like, that's a great question. I appreciate that. I've just been buried because, again, they're in, Siesta Key or Sarasota or wherever, and their place got destroyed by the hurricanes. He's like, I'm so sorry. I've just been in the middle of this hurricane, redoing of our house, and they got rid of a bunch of stuff that got ruined. So again, I'm not stupid. If you're going through that kind of tragedy, then I'm like, okay, you can, coach, take your time, please. I appreciate you. You're the best, whatever. But he's gonna give me an answer. But I think that Nick Saban knows who his daddy is, and again, I think that that's why Urban, who's always been, I think, at least as smart, if not smarter than Nick Saban, knew that going to Fox was the correct answer for where do you want to do your broadcasting career. Because if you're Nick Saban and you dive into bed with ESPN, you have to suck the teat of the SEC, no matter what. So again, the way to suck the teat of the SEC is to beat the tar out of Ohio State. You have to, because again, that's what they all do on ESPN. They're like, oh, Ohio State stinks and whatever. So when Nick Saban says, and again, this is what you told me, because I don't pay any credence to what these guys say, but Nick Saban said, I was impressed with Oregon's defense, who gave up 30 points. But I thought that Ohio State's defense, they gave up 31 points, was not good. And like I told you 6 million times, and I've said this on the show, if you give our offense back the ball with a 1-point deficit and 1 timeout in a minute 45 or whatever on the clock, then that's the victory. The offense needs to go do their thing. And again, they did until the OPI happened, and then we got kicked out of field goal range. But I thought our defense played, they were average, but at the very end of the game, when we needed them the most, they got to stop. So they made it easier on the offense. The offense didn't have to go score 6 points. They had to go score 3 points. When we played Michigan in 2005, which is going to revisionist history, going back in the time machine, we played those guys, and we needed 2 touchdowns to beat them at the end of the game because we sucked on offense and our defense kind of sucked too. So it was we got to go score points. And again, we were kind of lethargic, but we knew Santonio had to score, and then Pittman ran in the game-winning touchdown. This wasn't oh, hey, we need 2 field goals, or hey, we need a touchdown and a field goal. This was no, we need 2. I mean, we needed 2 touchdowns. It wasn't, I remember sitting there in Ann Arbor in the big house looking at the clock, and there's 7 minutes left. And I'm like, damn, we don't need 11, we need 12 points. We needed more than just a touchdown, extra point, or a touchdown, 2-point conversion and field goal. We needed 2 touchdowns. And thank God for Santonio. Thank God for Troy Smith. Thank God for Gonzo, Pittman. So again, Nick Saban, who I know everybody has christened as God, is not God. And he is falling into the trap of, well, let's blame Ohio State, and we gave up a couple of explosives and whatever. But again, Nevada, as we talked about earlier, the numbers are all within 15 yards. So we had 15 less yards passing and 15 less yards rushing, and the score was a 1-point game. So, in the history of football, I don't know how many games you could find that are tighter than that. Where it's 30 yards between 2 levels of offense are the differentiator. But That's as tight as you can get. And a 1-point loss on the road, Alston Stadium, left tackle's hurt. I'll take that because I think the next time we play these guys, it'll be good. And again, I've talked a million times about how, I mean, in recent history, dude, you look at 2022, 2 years ago, like, Alabama wins the SEC championship game in Atlanta. They beat the Georgia Bulldogs in their home state in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. And then they play them again in the national championship game. And guess what happens? Bama loses. They lose in a pretty wicked fashion by 2 scores to the Georgia Bulldogs. So is winning this game? Here's what I'm going to ask you, Nevada, because this is always going to be, always do these little question answers, and this is going to be kind of an impromptu thing for you. What, other than the poll standing and maybe the overall, happiness of the fan base, what are your benefits from winning this game that would dramatically change the order of what you need to get done in the facility? Like if I could say, okay, Nevada, we won this game. Imagine we won 40-39. Like, what really changes from a trajectory standpoint, from a morale standpoint, from a team standpoint? Like, what changes in your mind?
I think the only thing that potentially changes is that you have a little bit more wiggle room on securing that 5 through 8 spot as opposed to a 9 through 12 spot if the worst case scenario happens and you lose at Penn State. I think that's literally the only thing that changes, and which I still think you can get a 5 through 8, if your 2 losses are Penn State and Oregon. But I think that's really the only thing you get. Now, what's the benefit? A complete refocus, a angrier team, a edgier team, a team that, like you said, this week would have been all about NIL deals and adulation and adoration. Instead, the fan base. I mean, the fan base is definitely turned on this team. I mean, there's no question about it. It just I'd say it's the fan base is probably 70% down on Knowles, 50% down on Day, and probably 20% down on Howard. Maybe, I think that's probably about right. But on the team in general, I think a solid 40% of the OSU fan, maybe higher than that, have just completely quit on the team. Like they think that all hope is lost, and that kind of that makes me sad. And that's why we try to educate people on the site about on the site and on this podcast about the really and it's just not true. It all hope isn't lost. If our defense is irredeemable, then so is Georgia's. So is Alabama's. So is Oregon's. So I just don't know. Somebody's got to win the national championship. And look, I think Texas is really good, but we'll find out how good Texas is going to be here, over the next little bit. And can Texas be beat? Absolutely, Texas can be. There's no super team in college football as of week 6. Now, as of week 12 or 13. There could be a super team, and that super team could be. Ohio State could change an awful lot with a couple of tweaks, with a couple of personnel moves, and with them refocusing. That it could be the best thing. They could turn into Mega Mothra and just start raining terror down on Tokyo, and that could certainly happen. And I want to see him take that step against Nebraska. Again, I'm firmly in the show me on that, but that is definitely something that could happen because it's a serious bunch now. Nobody's taking a loss to Oregon lightly. Nobody's they all hear it. They all hear the barbs and they see the people jumping off the bandwagon, and hopefully they can turn that into a positive.
Yeah, I think that again, I shudder to think what this bye week would have been like if these guys would have won this game, because again, I know how this town is. I know how the fanboys are. I know how the crew is. And it's like, look, these guys are trying to, scoop up as many NIL deals as possible, which I totally get. I mean, I'm not mad about that, but it's like, this would have been, let's go shoot a commercial. Let's go do an NIL deal. Let's go celebrate. Let's go do whatever. But when you get sliced and you find out you can bleed, I think it's a huge deal for the team because, like I said, I've said this a million times. But that 06 team that I was on, if we could have lost the game early, I think it would have made our focus different. And again, there might be guys that on the team that disagree with me, but I'm like, when you win every game and you're 12-0, and again, you have to understand, our mindset after we beat Michigan coming into that game was the number one defense in the country, and we dropped 42 on them. And so you can't tell us nothing because we're that good or we're that sweet, we're that whatever. And I think that if we could have lost something, which again is impossible back then to lose a game in between then, but it would have said, hey, all is not all right. And so, when you look at this team where we lose a game and, we have the ball thrown over our head, we don't get any pressure. I think that, these guys realize, hey, we didn't come back to not win anything. So I don't know, I'm a lot more in the camp of the NFL where it's you either win or you learn. So, a lot of these teams, and again, you can't be like the Browns and lose 5 or 6 games, but I think that you have to, realize, hey, this is a real opportunity for us to self-scout, self-reflect, kind of do the thing, because you have to get these guys ready to go and pick up the scraps. And again, I've said this a million times, and you guys know this when you guys watch the show. When you go through adversity, you have a great opportunity to do something fantastic. And again, this is adversity where all of a sudden you lose a game. I don't want to say it was unexpected, and I've been a part of games where we thought we could be better or we thought we could have done more. But this is a game where this is pretty equal talent, and I think that they've got really good players at Oregon, really good scheme, good coaches. So this isn't a game where I thought we were, grossly out-coached, but I think this is a game where, it's a learning lesson for the staff and for Ryan and most importantly for the captains. Because, I talked to Jack Sawyer. I'm like, Jack, you've got a month and a half, 2 months left in your career. So don't wait around to assert yourself and say, hey guys, we need to get our stuff in gear because this is going to be ugly otherwise. Nevada, any thoughts on that? We can dig into some super chats.
No, I think time is the enemy right now, and if there was anything that was going to refocus these guys, if there's anything that was going to cause the senior captains, the senior leaderships, the guys that came back for one more ride to kind of get everybody together and start addressing issues and working towards a common goal, it's a close loss, and especially a close loss when you're getting whacked by the national pundits, especially a close loss when you're getting abandoned by the fan base. That'll definitely galvanize a group. And I think, like I said, I think the Nebraska game when it was originally on the schedule was it's going to be a fun game because Dylan Raiola, a little backstory there, but now I was there's certain games that I watch every minute of every game, and I've said I'm going to, obviously not going to miss a minute of his team this year, but the Nebraska game is particularly of interest now, and I think we're going to see a lot. I think we're going to learn a lot about the mindset of this team, about the mindset of this staff. So the Nebraska, I'm as excited for the Nebraska game as I've been for a game. For a game like that in a while. That game has taken on certainly a new import, not because I'm worried about winning or losing, but I want to see how we respond to that 1 point loss up in Oregon.
Well, I think if you don't lose to Oregon, then Nebraska's a cute little opponent, and the Matt Rule, Dylan Raiola renaissance is rolling on, and have they really played anybody? So, but now it's we've got these warts, and you got to get these warts removed, a.k.a. they threw it over our head. So is Dylan Raiola going to try to take shots over the head of Denzel Burke, over Davison? Because, again, that's the thing about if you don't play well or you have issues in some area, the team that you're about to go against is going to exploit all those. They've got the same film. They're going to watch it. They're going to say, wow, Ohio State can't cover the deep ball, whatever. So until you prove you can do that, that's what you're going to see. And that's true with the offensive line. It's true with the D line. It's true with the safeties, the corners, whatever. But I think that I'm like you, Nevada. Like, I thought that this Nebraska thing was like a little plucky, cute experiment, and we've trashed them since they've been in the Big Ten for the last few years. But now I think that with Matt Rule, they're interesting. I think that they play hard. They've been coached hard, and they've got Dylan, then they've got Dayton Raiola coming after him. So they're gonna have Raiolas for like the next 8 years as their quarterbacks. But I don't know. Like I still think it's gonna be a bloodbath. I think our guys are gonna be hungry, but you have to get into that when you're breaking these things down. And I think that that loss. We have to take our aggression and our anger out on our next opponent, which is Nebraska. All right, let's do some super chats. Jojo, thank you for the deuce. Appreciate you, my friend. Play Oregon again. Do different defensively. Nevada, what would you like to do different defensively if we played the Oregon Ducks again?
You got to pressure them. I mean, you have to pressure them. You have to pressure them in whatever way. That if that's unleashing the power of the defensive ends, bringing safety blitzes, bringing linebacker blitzes, overloading sides, whatever you got to do, you have to bring pressure. And then Denzel just has to be Denzel. Just you tweak those two things, we're going to be just fine. It's literally just pressure the quarterback, and Denzel don't. I mean, even if Denzel had not let them complete 8 of 8 against. If he had defended 1 and they only completed 7 of 8, I think we win. I think if he had defended, if it was only 6 of 8, we probably win by 2 scores. So it's like, I mean, we're right there. We just, Denzel just needs to be Denzel and bring a little bit more pressure, and we're going to be just fine.
All right, Nevada Sean for the 10. Appreciate you, my friend. It says, you'll love this. Love Saban calling out this Vanilla D scheme. Dumb. Love you guys, but stop being so dismissive of OSU fans calling a spade a spade. These ends are subpar. Lack of pressure. Last 2 years is subpar. Oh, Nevada.
Hold on. Okay, first of all, see, this is a classic example of somebody misquoting or taking what we're saying out of context. We're not saying that we're happy with the vanilla scheme. We're not saying we're happy with the lack of pressure. We're not saying we're happy with the lack of coverage. What we're saying is if you're going to praise Oregon for a thing, then how can you call Ohio State defense antiquated? That's the only thing that we're saying. So I'm just saying be consistent in terms of you can't be effusively praising a team that had the exact same issues. Ohio State's offense never got the benefit of a short field and still scored 31 points and racked up 476 yards. I mean, Oregon's defense didn't do any better. So you can't sit there and go, oh, they were great. They were so impressive, and Ohio State was bad. That's all we're saying. We're not – we've never said that we were okay with this. So I'm glad that you love the show, but please just be faithful to what we're saying. None of us gave them a passing grade for that. I've given them an F for pressure or the lack thereof. We've talked about Jack and JT needing to be unleashed. Now, you may think they suck. I don't think they suck. Now, this may be where we disagree. I do not believe they're bad players. I believe that they've been hampered by being asked to rush the outside shoulder and cage rush. And I think you've got to let those guys free and live with the consequences. But those are the types of posts where I get frustrated because, like, at least be faithful to what we're saying and quote us accurately and use the proper context. That's all that I'm asking.
All right, Nevada. So, and Mel Kiper is not God, and he misses and does whatever. But in his latest rankings, post-Oregon game, he literally lists our edge rushers, our DNs, our basically everybody, our ends, our D tackles. So in the top 8 in the entire country, and again, this doesn't mean anything. These guys suck. They have Jack Sawyer at 6 overall and JT Tumalo at 7 overall. And then you go to D tackle and you've got Tyleek at 5. So, like, to me, that's plenty of talent. So, again, I know that everyone in the world thinks these guys suck. Like, Mel Kiper, this is post Oregon, his rankings, doesn't think that they suck. And again, Mel Kiper isn't just some guy that sits in a silo and is like, well, we have to, understand what these guys do or what this guy is or whatever. It's like, no, like he talks to GMs, he talks to scouts, he talks to people that swap intel with him, and that's where they're landing at. Like he doesn't just put up a list because of he likes Ohio State or he likes Jim Knowles or he likes Larry Johnson or whatever. So I think that we have very, very strong talent at those positions. I think that those guys have to be cut loose. I think those guys have to get after it. But the thing that kills me is like, our guys get beaten to death for lack of pressure, lack of sacks, lack of whatever. But on the same stroke, like Oregon had one sack where our guy fell down. That was it. It wasn't like Oregon was like some shooting gallery of 7 sacks and pressure and whatever. Like they didn't do anything ever other than dance a couple times when Will Howard fell down. So again, I think that it's silly, but I also think that I think Nick Saban is way off base on here. And again, I know that he's forgotten more about defense than I've ever known, but dude, you can't say that Oregon looks like amazing and then we lose a game by 1 point on the road where we have a questionable pass interference against this OPI. It doesn't blend together in my estimation. Jojo, again, thank you for the 5. How much is an issue with this Jim Knowles? That is amazing. I've never seen Jim Knowles spelled Jim, G-Y-M, Nose, N-O-S-E. Is the issue with this Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson issue holding the defense back? And what would you do different? Nevada, what would you do different if Jim Knowles was holding back Larry Johnson's guys?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, we have an entire. If you're probably not a member of Buckeye Scoop because we had a very detailed, nugget, kind of going through these different things. I think they have different philosophies on how to bring pressure. Larry wants to bring it via 4-man front, and he is recruited that way. Jim Knowles wants to do it via odd-man fronts, and I think they've just got different worldviews and different perspectives. Both of them have Ohio State's best interests at heart. But again, best thing about it, to me, if we'd have won, it might have put perfume on the pig, and maybe it would not have addressed the issue of lack of pressure. Because even if we won, I'd have been sitting there going, we got to pressure the court. You cannot let Dylan Gabriel sit back and play like that. And, we can talk all we want about in previous games where the quarterbacks were getting rid of the ball quickly and it's 1-2 skidoo and you can't get the quarterback in those situations. And our sack numbers aren't bad. We're like top 20 in the country in sacks. So, maybe you don't address it. But when you lose, now it's going to get addressed. And to me, the lack of pressure strictly because we're not unleashing the guys or being willing to bring extra guys is something that they have to address. The good news is they are in the process of addressing it this week. We'll see if they unleash it next Saturday against Nebraska. I mean, it'll be very obvious. Either it'll happen or it won't. I believe that'll happen, but we'll see.
I agree with that. I think that the issue isn't Jim Knowles holding Larry Johnson back. I think that it's just they get on the same page, and you got to let these ends be more creative. Don't treat them like they're odd defense pass rusher guys. Like they really need to get after these guys and have these guys take a 2-way go. Again, people said to me, I saw Jack Sawyer hit a nasty spin move in the spring game. Why doesn't he do that? Well, it's because the scheme doesn't let him do it. So again, you take the chains off him and JT, magically you're going to see more production in the pass rush. So again, I think that's paramount at this point. I think that make the linebackers know that these guys can be right. But that's just my opinion. All right, Nevada, good show tonight. Let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, just enjoy the weekend. We've got, like I said, we get a chance to watch Oregon tonight, which is good. I think Florida State maybe playing tonight.
Yeah, they play Duke.
Yeah, Michigan, Illinois. I mean, there's a lot of great football. We got the Tribe on. So just enjoy the weekend, kind of study some of these other teams. And what you'll see when you study them is, man, everybody's got warts. No perfect
Yep.
team this year, and a Big 12 team playoffs. So there's going to be a lot of excitement. Ohio State, just pray for health for Ohio State, so they can get healthy, get right, get hot, and one more sleep, and the bye week is officially over, and we're on to next week.
Cannot wait. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bar. Again, I hope you guys have a great bye week. Join BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Because there's something awesome. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. It's time to go watch the Indians do work and beat the Yankees. I can't wait for that. So, you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.